guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm going to be playing with the English Winter Village from Scrappy Tales. This has got a lot of kind of old school kind of images that they're just all Christmas. I think these are just so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp out some of these and go ahead and get them colored up so that I can add them to a card. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little scene on my card front. So I've got a piece of cardstock in my MISTI, and I'm going to start off by stamping out this carriage and horse. I think that is super cute. And these are brand new stamps, so of course they do need to be stamped multiple times to get a good impression. You're also conditioning them at the same time when you do it like this. Another way to condition your stamps would be to use some embossing ink, which of course I didn't think of until after I started stamping. So that looks nice. Next, what I'm going to do is I am going to stamp onto some post-it notes. Now, the reason I'm doing that is that I want to create a mask and kind of create a background using some of the other stamps. Now, this is a technique that I don't do that often, but I thought that this was a good opportunity to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just stamp this out onto 2 post-its here. And I probably don't need it over the entire thing, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. The part that I really need to take into consideration is the part up at the top. So I'm just going to stamp that out. And then I'm going to fussy cut around the top of those images. I'm going to go ahead and add my little horse part on here. I just used some post-it tape for this part and fussy cut those out. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp out a couple of those houses. I am going to put my transparency down so I can try to make sure that try not to get ink anywhere that's not supposed to be. You know, just to be on the safe side. Now, one of the houses looks a little bit bigger than the other, so I'm going to kind of offset it a little bit. This one is going to be kind of looking like it's closer, and this one's a little bit further back. Not by a lot, but that's kind of what my thought process is there. Okay, so let's go ahead and stamp these down. Okay, so almost need a little bit more. I think one more stamping should do it. And looks like on this one, the issue on this one house here is it's just not wanting to stamp around the mask, which is kind of odd because this is just post-it tape. It's just a post-it note. It's very, very thin, so it shouldn't have a problem. But I will try that again, and we'll see how it does. I'm going to say that that is pretty good. I do need a little bit more on this one here, and I think a little bit of extra pressure on that window is probably going to be good enough. And anything that I don't get stamped well enough, if I need to, I can always color that or draw that in with a black marker. Okay, so that is going to be my scene. So let's go ahead and take the mask off. It looks just the way that I was wanting it to. Awesome. So next I'm going to be coloring this little image up. So I'm going to start with just a little bit on the snow just to give it a little bit of not stark whiteness. I'm kind of just drawing a little bit really, really light just on the inside of the lines. So that will give a little bit of snow to that house in the background. And then let's go with some red for the chimney. And the same thing for the other one. And I think I want to do some brown for that roof. So I'm going to grab out one of my MB markers. And this is kind of a light brown, and then I'll come back in with a darker brown to go underneath those, underneath the snow, to give it a little bit of depth. So that was the MB3, and now I'm coming in with the MB4 to go right underneath that snow. And a little bit around the little windows here. And then I'll use the MB3 again to kind of bring it out a little bit. So that looks kind of cool. I think I'm going to do the same kind of colors over here for this other one's roof. Okay, so I am just adding that little piece for the roof there, and then I'm going to come in with this darker one and kind of give it a little bit more dimension there. I think I'm going to start off lightest with the RB1 because I'm not 100% sure on color. Oh, this one is actually really nice. Kind of a chestnutty, chestnut horse anyway, color. I do like that. So it's a warmer brown than what we just put on the roof. So that is good for a little bit of variety. And I'm adding a little bit to the tail too. I'm probably going to use a darker color. Oh, I know I'm going to use a darker color. I'm going to add some additional shading and everything for my entire horse, but the mane and the tail are going to be mostly darker anyway. Okay, this little horse has got a mask on, so I don't want to color it the same color as the rest. I did go over some of it by mistake because I didn't realize, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take out, this one is my RB2, so it's a little bit darker. And you can see it is kind of a reddish color. I think I'm going to also do my RB3, so that should be a little bit darker. There we go. So our horse has got a lot of different colors going on in his mane, so that looks good. So I'm going to use my RB2 to do that little bit of shadowing in different areas, like underneath the saddle and the bridle, and a little bit under his legs. I'm not really using a lot of those different colors. I'm just doing enough to give it a little bit of shadow. And then I'm coming back in again with this RB1, which is my lightest color, to blend that out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to say that that is going to be it for my little horse. I do need to do all the things that he's wearing, but I don't really need to do any more color for the horse itself. Okay. Now, since this is all Christmassy, I do want to do some more red. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off, I never do this, I'm going to start off with some dark red. This is scary dark red to go right under this edge here for our sleigh. So what I'm going to attempt to do is have a big contrast between the scary light and the scary dark. And I may do some green on the bottom. I think that would be kind of cool looking. So have red up here at the top, and then go with green down at the bottom. Okay, so now this one is my DR3. So that one isn't the lightest of the reds in the Spectrum Noir family, but it is one of them. And I think you can tell there is a big difference there. And making sure to go up into that really dark area so that I can pull out some of that and have it blend. Okay, so since I did that kind of bold thing with the reds, I'm going to do the same kind of thing with the greens. So this one is my AG4. It's a really, really dark green. So I'm going to do the same thing here, right at that edge. And some of my red did go over the line, so it's kind of turning it a little bit brownish there, but that is totally fine. Now I'm going to come in with my AG2 and pull some of the colors out. And my AG markers are a little bit dry, so it's probably going to take a little bit of work to get the color down. And then I'm going to come up with that AG2 and color this whole rope here that is attaching to our horse. And then I'm going to color in his little mask here too with the same color. Yeah, both these colors are a little bit dry, so they're not wanting to come out as well, but I think it's still going to work out pretty well. So she has got a little bit of holly on her hat, so I'm going to go ahead and color that little bit of green in. And I'm also going to go ahead and color in some of the skin. So for skin, I'm going to use my FS4, I think. I think this one's not too light, too pink. Yeah, that one turns out it's not too pink, so that's good. I'm going to do that for both of them. Okay. And then I think I do want to have them in like reds and greens. I think that would be cool. So she's already got green on her hat. So I'm going to color her in, I think the rest of the way in red. And I'm going to put a red, little red thing on his hat. And then do his scarf in red. And these images are so tiny, you basically just need to kind of tap it with the tip of your pen. You don't have to really do a whole lot to add that color down. And I think I'm going to just decide not to do any kind of shadowing or shading on these because they're just too tiny. And the hard part is figuring out exactly where, what I'm seeing on him. Okay, I'd say all of this is his body. And that also means that that part back there, I was supposed to have colored brown and didn't catch it. Okay, let's get him all in red. So I'm going to come back in with my MB markers to get that one piece of that building that I did not get the first time around because I didn't realize it was part of the building. Okay, there we go. On that, I'm going to grab one of my golden yellows. So this one is the GY2, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to basically just go along the edge here for that railing on our sled, and do the same kind of thing for the sled part here down at the bottom. Kind of make it look like it's like gilded in gold. I was thinking silver and then changed my mind. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then let's go ahead and give them some golden hair. Okay. And now I need to do his hat. And I'm going to use my IG markers. So I've got IG5, I think should be a lighter color. And then I'll go in with the IG6 and see if it's dark enough for his top hat. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay. And since I've got the GY out, I'm going to go ahead and do that one for the inside of all of those little windows. And I think I'm going to go over it with a darker color, so all of the spaces between the panes will be a darker color, and nobody will notice that I colored over the whole thing. Okay. Okay, so I think what I want to do, I think I'm going to go with like a soft blue-green for this first house. Not sure if that's an actual color for in the UK or not, but I'm going to go with it. This one is my GT1. I'm not going to worry about these lampposts. I'm going to go back over them with a gray. So if I get some of this marker on them, it's fine because I'll be covering that up. So I figure I'm going to add a little bit of that really dark red to her hat for that band, that ribbon around it, and then the same thing for the blanket that is covering her lap. So that finishes up basically that portion of it. I do need to come back in with a darker color for the window frames, and I think I'm going to go with my GT3, which is a darker version of what I colored the house in. So that should work good. I'm going to say that that's good enough. The tips of these are not quite as fine as the little lines that we've got for all of the bits for this house. They are such tiny, tiny pieces. Do think I am going to use this for the door frame though. That would be good too. Be matching. There we go. And next I need one of those grays to do the posts for my lamps, my lamp posts. There we go. And I think I'm going to go with the same GT1 for the door, just to make everything match. So I decided I'm going to go with some blues for this one too, and it's a different color of blue. This one is the AB family. So I'm going to start off with the darkest ones for all of those little roof lines and for the frames around the windows. Okay, and then I'm going to come back in. First off, I missed some of the yellow for this this window here, so I need to do that to GY2 again. And I'm just dotting those in because I don't want to pick up any of that blue. Okay, then I'm going to come back in with the lightest of the ABs, which is AB1, to do pretty much the rest of this house. And these are very similar colors to the other house, but it's just a little bit different. This one's more blue, and this one has a little bit more green in it. So they're both kind of minty. And all that's left on here is the hooves of our little horse. And I'll go ahead and color those in with this dark gray. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, or part of this, as the background for my card. So now what I need to do is trim around the entire top portion of the card. So I'm going to be fussy cutting around this little house. I think I'm going to trim this off to about halfway and use the upper half on the front of a card front, and then I can layer this guy up on top of that, and we should have some decent dimension and all. And since the bottom of this is white and the card backing is white, it should work fine. Yeah, I'm going to start off with it at 3 and then decide, because I'm not 100% sure. And this is pretty and can be used on another card too. Okay, so we've got our 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note card there. And if I have this one like right up at the top there, Have that right up at the top and then this right at the bottom. We do have that little town behind it, but I don't think it's quite high enough. So I'm going to move that up a bit more, and that way we can see it. And I think that looks better. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the bottom of my panel here with the bottom of my image and just draw a line right at where it ends. And that's where I'm going to put the end of my card here. And then I can trim off the excess. Then, to make sure that everything is lined up right, I do think I want a lot of that steeple in, so I'm going to leave that whole thing in. I'll trim off at the other edge. And I'm just lining it right up on my on my desk here, so that this edge, everything matches. So I'm going to put plenty of foam along the back, especially down here at the bottom, where I've got that straight edge. And then I can put some foam behind the house, or houses rather. And as I am known to do, I completely forgot about the sentiment, and I wanted to add this little sentiment that it says Jingle All the Way right down here in the corner. So I'll put that in my Misty. Yes, I've already got foam behind my little horse here, and hopefully it won't cause any kind of an issue. Let's see if I can make sure that this stays in place. Okay, that looks like it's pretty good. And I'm going to shift that up just a little bit. Actually, I could put it on this side. I think I'll put it over here in this white space. Okay. And I'm going to grab my Gina K again. And push all the stuff out of my way, because I have got a tremendous mess on my desk again, as usual. That doesn't happen to any of you guys, does it? Okay, let's stamp that down. Pretty good on the first try, so let me just add one more, and nothing shifted, thank goodness. Okay, that looks good. That is going to be a great sentiment for this card. So I'm going to go ahead and start trimming. I think I'm actually going to trim a little bit of this off, which means I'm going to trim a little bit that's got the foam on it, because I like that white border around the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this one down to right about a 5 1/4. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this guy. Right down to about 5 1/4. Okay. So it doesn't cut off any of the horse, but it did cut off a little bit of the house. That's okay. Then this can go right across the front of our card like that. Okay. So now I'm going to take off all of this release paper because there's a ton of it. And then use some liquid adhesive to give me that little bit of wiggle room to make sure I get this placed right where I want it. Okay. And I'm going to line this up right with that bottom and with the left edge, and should be positioned perfect. Okay, looks good. And now I just need to trim off the top a little bit, because we don't need it to be quite this long. We need it to be right at 4 inches, because I'm trimming off that little excess for right around the little bit, so that when I put it on the card base, I've got that little border. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and place that down on our card base, leaving that little edge of white all the way around. And that is going to finish up this card. I think it turned out super cute. It is kind of that old school British Christmas. I think that is super pretty, especially with those. I love the way that it looks with those houses in the background. That really brings out the kind of kind of scene that I was wanting to do. I don't do a lot of scene cards, but this one turned out pretty cute. Well, you guys be sure to check out this playlist to see some other projects where I'm using Scrappy Tales products, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.